Hello and welcome. This is going to be a bit of a different video today, including a PowerPoint presentation in one take. So hello and welcome. A few people asked, and I also promised an update to the situation with my Fujifilm X100, and I think it's about time I do that because look, I did receive a response from Fujifilm about repairing the camera, and I'm really looking forward to sharing that with you. But first, a little recap. If you didn't see the video, it's linked here somewhere. What basically happened is three things broke on my X100F. The hybrid viewfinder doesn't open up and close anymore. The autofocus settings are stuck, so you can't change it to manual focus or to autofocus single, which sucks. And when you take the battery out, all of the settings go away and you have to reset them from scratch. It's a pretty rough situation, but as I reviewed in the video, there are a few workarounds. If this happens to you, you can go watch that video and see how you can work around it. And since that happened, well, it's mid-2025. I've shot over 3,000 more photos with the camera, been to 12 different countries with it, and I haven't got it repaired. I've spoken to Fujifilm service twice about it, and in the end decided against it, and you're gonna find out why in just a second. So first, of course, I contacted Fujifilm in Germany, and they were very friendly and they replied very quickly to my response. The only thing is you have to send the camera in, and that's okay, I understand that. I would, of course, love it if repair was more like a standard list of problems that then had a standard price that you could look up in advance. That would be amazing, but I understand why no companies are doing this. So yes, I had to send it in and get a quote. And I'll tell you in a second what they said it would cost to fix my camera. But before I do that, apparently you're supposed to ask people to like and subscribe. So like and subscribe, please. Yeah, it helps the channel, it really does. But also don't feel obligated. So, oh, sorry, let's talk about Fujifilm Germany. How much did it cost? 1,550 euros. That's right. And if that sounds a little expensive, well, yes, it's very expensive. But the reason for that is it might be different than what you expect. $1,550 actually gets you a brand new, with 2-year warranty, X-T5. And that's because, like they say in this letter, thank you for sending your camera in. Unfortunately, they don't have the parts to fix it. And yeah, that is unfortunately the situation, at least at the German Fujifilm. They don't have the parts to fix the X100F, and any camera older than that, certainly also not. So therefore, they offered a slight discount on an X-T5 with warranty, like basically brand new. Of course, this is from August last year. It was almost a year ago, so those prices may have changed. And I also don't know if, just because I've been a previous customer, and I actually complained to them about this very thing before, when they said, we're not gonna offer you anything. And so maybe this is new, maybe it's just for me, I don't know. But essentially, yeah, 1,500 euros gets you a new X-T5, which I very politely declined because I already own an X-T4, I don't need another one, and I wasn't really prepared to spend that much money. So that's the situation. So of course, after I received this last year, a lot of things have happened, including I took a trip where I was in Japan. And knowing that Fujifilm is from Japan, I decided to take a trip down to the Fujifilm photo salon, which I also reviewed in my last video. You can check out like different cameras and stuff that they have there. But what you can also do is you can take in your camera to get it evaluated for service. So I did just that. I sat down with them. There was a nice woman who helped me out, and I talked with the service technician about it. But the same thing basically happened. They said, we can't do anything. There's no parts available for the camera. We won't even try, essentially. They said it very politely, though. It wasn't like a mean dealio, but yes, unfortunately, they won't fix it. And I get it because, they're just some people working in some office. They do offer the service. I think mostly it's intended for Japanese citizens and not really for tourists because they don't give any information on the internet in English. So maybe that could have something to do with it, but I think it's really just the case that they don't repair this camera anymore, which is a sad result. What I also learned though while I was in Japan researching this is that they only publish this in Japanese, but there is a list of cameras that Fujifilm officially supports for repair and ones that they officially don't support anymore. And I'll leave a link in the description to this list because this might be good to know. if you're buying a used Fujifilm camera, or if you own one and you're thinking about the future, yeah, you can see which ones from, you know, the guys at head office say they will fix and which ones they won't. And, you know, it's not totally clear if every Fujifilm office in the world goes by these rules, but I get the feeling that they're supposed to, at least. And yeah, you know, with this experience I had in Germany, obviously they didn't repair it. Japan also didn't repair it. That just kind of seems to be the situation. So yeah, go ahead and look at that list if you're interested. If you also have the situation where your X100 is broken, I still think it's worthwhile to send it in to your local Fujifilm, wherever you are in the world, and just see what they'll do. You might get the same answer as me, you might get a different one, your mileage may vary. Nonetheless, I've heard pretty good things about Fujifilm UK. From what I understand, they actually do most of the repair, like taking apart, screwing and stuff like that. You know, they do most of that work for Europe, apparently. The rest of the European offices mostly just do the sending. So I've heard good things about them, that they're relatively good technicians, and the one in the US is also relatively good reviewed, and I've had good personal experiences with them. So just try your luck. But in the case that you really have a broken camera and you just want to, get a working camera again, honestly, the most financially responsible thing to do, as in, the cheapest, is actually, in most cases, to sell the camera online. If you can sell it for parts on a online marketplace like eBay, for example, you can usually get, especially for an X100, like a couple hundred to several $100s for a camera that's broken. And that is sort of fueled by this entire situation. Because Fujifilm doesn't repair it themselves, in independent repair shops, there's also a lack of parts because Fujifilm isn't producing them. And so used broken cameras can actually be a good way to get them, and thus the prices go up. So this could be probably your best strategy if you want to get a new or working camera. And of course, the last thing you can do if you've got the exact same situation as me, as I highlighted in the last video, you can be cool and you can keep shooting pictures with it. And actually, this isn't new. Back in the 80s and the 90s and 2000s, many photographers continued using their half-broken film compacts because film compacts are notorious for breaking. I haven't owned that many film compacts, but I guess it's the same case for digital compacts too. Yeah, and if it takes pictures anything short of, being completely unusable, consider just continuing to use it and seeing it as an artistic challenge. That's at least what I'm going to do for now, mostly because I'm kind of cheap. But, when the day comes when the camera really doesn't work anymore, yeah, then it'll be time to probably buy a new one. Now, there is hope if you're someone who just loves the X100F and it's broken and you want it back to its original state and you don't want to go through the hassle of, buying another one or whatever. You can repair it yourself. Or perhaps there's a repair house that'll do it for you, because we do approximately know what the cause of this issue is. Namely, there's this internal battery that sits underneath the autofocus switch. It's pretty easy to access, doesn't require complete disassembly of the camera. And this battery apparently is the reason for these three problems happening simultaneously. When the battery gets old, the voltage drops, and then it can't support all these functions anymore. So you either need to replace or potentially recharge the battery. Go ahead and pop down in the description. Again, I've left a link to this Reddit thread. Credit to the Reddit user who posted this, and they've got a really good write-up, and the comments are also good to read, where you can learn about how to do this, what's needed. This is definitely more for experts or people who've got experience with repair, so, be aware of that, but there is hope, so that's nice. Yeah, well, where are we left with all of this? I think there's a pretty big open question about Fujifilm's overall reliability as a camera brand. That's not to say I don't recommend them anymore. I love them enough to deal with their problems, as I've kind of already said. But when you do think about, the total amount of time that you're going to own a camera, there's going to be a chance that it's going to break, and potentially with Fujifilm, you might have to buy 1 or 2 or 3 cameras in the time that you would have to maybe buy one by another manufacturer. And, over time, that adds up to more money. I think there should be more discussion about this when it comes to Fujifilm cameras and how much they cost. I personally believe that their prices are reasonable, actually. Many people say they're very expensive, but I actually think the prices are okay when compared to their competitors. But you should factor in that repairability thing, because once it gets old and you can't fix it or it's expensive, that is going to increase the total cost over time. Again, check the list that I've linked below from the Japanese Fujifilm to see which cameras are supported and which are not. I can't really find any trends if any particular series are like supported longer than other ones. I couldn't really figure that out. And I think the most perplexing part of all of this is how the prices on the used market continue to stay really, really, really high. And that is, I think, mostly just unfortunate, because getting even a last generation camera, which would have a few more years of repair support, is a lot of times just like really stupidly expensive. So I hope that through discussing this topic a little bit more, I hope a few more people on the internet bring it up, other camera review YouTubers and stuff, that we can maybe start to reveal the reality that goes with Fujifilm and how much it's really gonna cost. So yeah, there's that. Nonetheless, thanks for your watching of the video. I hope I don't have to make another update again where I tell you about how much it's gonna cost to fix it. I'm just gonna keep using it as it is, and that's kind of the dealio. But other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, and thanks again. Bye-bye.